Now you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new DC Prime Batman action figure from DC Collectibles. Now this is the first figure in their new high-end line of action figures. It is a 9-inch scale figure, and you can see it comes in pretty fancy packaging. You've got on the outer box here just images of the toy and the name and everything. And again, the line is called DC Prime. On this side, you've got another image of the toy and the credits of the people involved with the making of the figure. This side, we again have another image, and then on the back you have a bio for the line in multiple languages, and down below you've got a look at the figure with all the accessories that are included. And then you can actually open the front here. This front flap opens, it attaches with a magnet, and on one side you've got some concept art showing off the figure, the design of the figure and everything, which is pretty cool. And then on this side the figure is clearly displayed along with all the accessories in the window box packaging. All right, let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside the packaging along with the other contents. Now, first of all, let me just say a big thanks to the folks at DC Collectibles for sending this figure out to me early so I could review it for you guys. This figure is slated to be released sometime in October. Now we'll start off by looking at the accessories that come with this figure, and it does come with quite a few. Now the first accessory you get is this pretty elaborate flight stand. So you get this big circular base. It's done with black plastic, and you've got the DC Comic logo there on the top, and then on the back there you've got DC Collectibles. And what you do is you do have to assemble this. So you get this rod, which is actually done with a pretty heavy metal, and it is actually bendy, so you can bend it and pose it and stuff. But what you want to do is you screw this portion into the base, and then you've also got this clip, which is done with a pretty sturdy plastic, and it's got a spring-loaded grip there. And then you want to remove this top screw piece. So you just take that off there, and then you put the clip, and the clip's got a screw, so you can loosen this hole in the back a bit if you wanted to. And then you just you got to push it down a little bit, and then you just put this cap on and it tightens up. You get 4 different pairs of hands with this figure. So you get a pair of closed-fisted hands, then you get a pair of just straight open hands with the fingers straight out, then you get a pair of open hands where the fingers are spread apart more, and then you get a pair of grip hands. You get 3 different head sculpts with the figure. So you get the normal looking one, which is the one that's attached to the figure when you take it out of the packaging. Then you get this one with the gas mask, and you've got pretty nice detailing there. It completely covers up the skin portion of his face, and all of them have the whited out eyes and everything. And then finally you get this third one that just has this open mouth. And this is probably my least favorite one. Honestly, when I first looked at it, I thought, you know, what is Batman singing the opera or something? I think they could have gone with a more angry expression, maybe gritting his teeth or something along those lines, as opposed to just the open mouth. But I definitely like the normal looking one. The detailing on that and the gas mask one is pretty cool as well. Now here's a close-up of the regular head sculpt on the figure. And then here's a close-up of the second head sculpt with the gas mask on the figure. And then finally, here's the third head sculpt with the open mouth where he's supposed to be screaming. Though, again, every time I see this head sculpt, I just think, la 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 la. You get 3 different batarangs, and all 3 are designed differently, so it's not like they just gave you 3 of the same batarangs. And like this one reminds me of one from the movies. I want to say this one kind of reminds me of the one from Batman and Robin. And then this one also reminds me of one of the more modern movie versions. And then you've got this one with the red little light there. I guess that's supposed to be a light in the middle. And all of them have a nice metallic silver finish on them. This one is more black than silver, but you do have the silver on the edge. They're done with a pretty hard plastic, so they do look like they would be sharp and, you know, and definitely kind of pointy. And then finally you get his grapple gun. So you've got the gun itself, and that's done with a black and light gray plastic. And then you've got a grapple that has a metallic silver paint job on it. And then you even get a grapple rope, which is done with kind of a twisty tie type material. And so what you want to do is you can either take just the grapple itself and you can stick it, there's a hole in the front here, and you can just stick it in there. And so, you know, it looks like it hasn't been fired. Or you can take the rope portion, and what you want to do is take that thicker end and stick that in the hole. and it just slides in there. And then on this end, you take, you slide it up into the grapple itself. And so it looks like, you know, he's firing the grapple gun. It's not very long. The rope piece isn't super long or anything. Obviously it wouldn't hold the figure's weight, but again, you can make it look like he's actually shooting the grapple. And because it is a wire type material, not a rope, it will stay, you know, fairly straight. And the grapple gun itself does open up. This bottom portion pulls down for like a handle so that you can have them hold it like it is a gun. Now the back of the utility belt is pretty cool. You'll notice that there's actual batarangs attached to the back there. They're folded up and they're not removable, and you can't attach the batarangs that are actual accessories to the belt. But, you know, they have made it so, you know, if you pull up the cape, it does look like he has his batarangs there on his utility belt, which is kind of nice. And then I noticed there was this little hole here on the side, and at first I thought maybe there was a way to attach the grapple gun, and there does not, at least not with that hole. But then as I was playing around with it, I discovered there's actually a magnet here. This piece here is actually a magnet, so you can attach the grapple gun there. I guess there's a little magnet in the grapple gun, and so you can attach it to his back like that. Okay, now for the figure itself. So as I mentioned before, this is a 9-inch scale action figure, and you know, honestly, I kind of feel like it is an odd scale. I remember asking Jim Fletcher at Toy Fair, you know, why they decided to go with this kind of off scale, and the reason was pretty much so that they could add all the detail to the figure. And this is a pretty nicely detailed figure, so you know, I think they've done a good job with that. And you know, it's kind of in par, you know, as far as scale goes, it reminds me of kind of the Square Enix Play Arts Kai figures, or even the upcoming hyper real figures that Hasbro's going to be doing for Star Wars. So it's definitely something along those lines, but it's not going to fit in with your other normal 6 or 7-inch figures because it is significantly taller. Now you've got, I've already showed you the head sculpts, and again, you've got pretty nice detailing with the sculpting on the mask. So this outfit seems to be loosely based on his Rebirth outfit, though it's done with more of an artist interpretation, I would say, and they seem to have gone the route of making it look more like an actual armor than like, you know, spandex or something along those lines. And so you still got the bat symbol there on his chest with the yellow or gold trim. It is metallic gold, and you've got some nice texturing there on the black portion of the bat symbol, so I like that. And then you've got all this line work sculpted on the armor pieces, the gray armor pieces, so that looks good. And then you've got, like here on the shoulders, you can make out like underneath there, you've got the black, which would be like the flexible material portion of the outfit, and then you've got the armor plating on the top of that. So, you know, again, really nice detailing with that. And he's got the belt, the utility belt with the metallic gold and the black, and you've got the pouches and everything. And then for the legs, you continue to have pretty nice sculpting detail with the armor pieces and the under black portion with the texturing and everything. And you've got a nice, you know, it's basically black, just black and gray. And then the boots themselves are just completely black. But again, you have pretty nice sculpting detail. All made to look like armor. You know, none of it looks like spandex or anything like that. So definitely they've gone with more of like a movie look. And of course, with the gauntlets, you've got those things that stick out like we always see with Batman figures. And it looks like they've even made it. There's no articulation. These don't open up or anything. But it almost looks like, you know, he could open these up and there might be like a computer screen or something underneath there. Again, made to look very much like it's actual armor. And here's a look at the back of the figure. So again, you can see a whole lot of nice sculpting detail with the individual armor pieces and everything. And then you've got the black there up here on the upper back side with the texturing. So, and the shoulder pads, you know, they are actually a little bit articulated. They're separate pieces, so you know, they don't totally limit the arm movement, which is nice. But again, you know, just really nice sculpting detail with these armor pieces. You've got the spine piece down the back there, and then on the butt there, you've got some nice texturing. So I think they've done a really good job. You know, if you like this kind of armored look for the character, I think they've done a good job. Now the cape on this figure is pretty huge. It, you know, extends out quite a bit and is actually longer than the figure itself. Now the cape has, it's a double stitch cape, so on the outer side you've got this almost kind of vinyl material, and you can see it's got some pretty nice texturing to it. And then on the underside, you've got more of this silky type material, which is purple. So that looks pretty good, and you've got nice stitching. Now the thing about this cape is, this cape I would say is definitely made more for posing than just putting him in static poses. You definitely can get it in better poses because there's actually bendy wire throughout the entire cape. So like here on the ends, and then with each of these stitch lines, there's actually bendy wire in there. So they've made it definitely so you can get him in some cool jumping or swinging type poses with the cape. You know, again, they've given you the flight stand so that you can do that. As far as like a static pose, because the cape is taller than the figure, you do have to kind of bend the wires back a little bit so that the figure will actually stand. And even still, it's kind of hard to get it, you know, kind of closed up and stuff. So definitely I would say, you know, some people might like that and some might not. I think it would have been cool maybe if they'd made the cape removable and then given us a second cape that wasn't quite so big on the figure. So if you wanted him in more static poses, but definitely, you know, I think if you want to do a lot of poses with the cape and everything, this will be nice to work with. Okay, now as I said, this figure is done in a 9-inch scale, but it actually, if you count to the tips of his ears on his mask, comes up closer to 9.5 inches, just a little bit under. Now here's a comparison with the DC Collectibles 7-inch scale DC Essentials Batman figure, and you can see this new Batman figure is much taller. So again, don't, you know, plan on using this figure with any of your normal 6 or 7-inch scale figures because it's going to be way too big. Now here's a comparison with my PlayArts Kai Captain America figure from Square Enix, and the PlayArts Kai figures are taller. I want to say they're 10 or 11-inch scale figures, but I feel like, you know, this is maybe the target audience, the people who collected these types of figures. That's what DC Collectibles was really kind of shooting for with this figure. You can say it even has the same kind of armor design on the costumes and stuff. So not the exact same scale, but definitely kind of very similar in style. And the figure, while I don't think has die-cast metal on it, it does have a hefty weight to it. It is a fairly thick plastic. Maybe even there is some die cast like here on the chest with the bat symbol. I don't know, but definitely the figure has a nice weight to it. Okay, now for articulation on the figure, you can turn the head to about that much. He's got the cape that kind of sticks up, so it limits some of the movement. You can get it. Actually, you can turn it all the way around. You just have to lift the chin up a bit. Now he can look down about that much, and then he can look up pretty good as well. So you get overall pretty decent head movement, and you really don't get any pivot. I just kind of did it off the ball joint there, but again, you do get actually pretty good up and down movement, though you have to kind of maneuver around the cape. Same thing with the shoulders. You want to, if you're going to really get the good arm movement, you have to kind of pull this shoulder pad out from underneath the cape there. The shoulder pad again does have some articulation, so you can get the arm out pretty good there, and that shoulder pad will lift up, and then you can actually rotate. Even with the cape, you can rotate. Now you do want to be careful because this hard plastic can kind of scrape against the cape there, and so, you know, that might be something you want to be wary of. And then you've got a bicep swivel here, and you've got a double jointed elbow, so good bending there at the elbow. You've got the rotation with the hands, and you've got those ball joints, so you've got up and down movement with the hands. Then you've got a midsection joint, so he can rotate there at the midsection. He really doesn't have any crunch movement. You know, he doesn't have an ab crunch, so he can't crunch forward. And then he can look back about that much. So you do get some back movement there at the midsection. You also have a little bit of a waist swivel. So not a whole lot, but you do have some. And then with the legs, he can really only do the splits about that much. He really can't do the splits a lot because of the armor pieces, but he can get the leg forward pretty good. So he can get it up about that much, and then you can do it back about that much. He does have a thigh swivel up high there, and then he has double jointed knees, so good bending there at the knee. And then with the feet, you have up and down movement, and you do have ankle pivot with this one, and you also have toe articulation. And then no peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, so that's my review. And overall, I've got to say, I like the figure overall. I like the detailing with the sculpting and the armor pieces. You know, it is kind of an artist's interpretation of the character, loosely based, I believe, on the Rebirth outfit. But I think they've done a good job with that. It is fairly articulated, so you can definitely get it in some good poses. The cape goes along with that as well. Now, I would have maybe liked to have seen an alternate smaller cape so that you could pose him in more static poses as well. I do think the cape looks a little big on him when you have him in just regular or static poses, but that's really kind of a minor complaint. Again, this figure I think is really made for more of doing the dynamic posing thing. Now the scale is a bit off, you know, it is a 9-inch scale figure, so it's not really going to go along with your other regular 7 or 6-inch action figures, but if you're a fan of Batman, I think you'll definitely want to check this out. And assuming this figure sells well, I'm sure they will do other characters in this line. I definitely could see them doing a Superman figure for this line, and wouldn't be surprised if that's the next one to come. Now this figure will be due out in October. It is currently available for pre-order at pretty much any place that carries DC Collectible figures. We'll have a full image gallery up at toynewseye.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment, let me know what you think. If you're so inclined, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. And of course, you can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. I have links to those in the video description as well. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.